Devastating floods, skyrocketing inflation, a crumbling economy, and a reported collective loot. This seems to be the story of Pakistan at present. The country hit by floods and severe economic crisis may also be witnessing a constant loot by its leaders, starting from former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Chief Imran Khan to the Chief of Pakistan's Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa. They've all been accused of corruption in one way or another. Nawaz Sharif, the former Pakistan Prime Minister, is a proclaimed offender. The PMLN Supremo's family has been named in Panama Papers. This was back in 2016. The documents stated that Nawaz Sharif's children owned undeclared firms and assets offshore. The allegation was that these companies were used to launder money and buy foreign assets, including an apartment in London. Nawaz Sharif was convicted to 11 years in jail by an accountability court. Later, a judgment by the Islamabad High Court suspended his sentence. In December 2018, Nawaz Sharif was sentenced to jail once again, this time for 7 years, in the Al Azizia steel mills case, as he failed to show how he had earned the money to set up the steel mills in Saudi Arabia. In December 2020, Nawaz Sharif was declared a proclaimed offender by the Islamabad High Court after he failed to appear for the hearings of his appeals against the Avonfield and Al Azizia convictions. Now, according to latest Pakistan media reports, Nawaz Sharif and his family have left London for a 10-day vacation in Europe. While Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Chief Imran Khan, who is accused of acquiring and selling state gifts, including an expensive Graf wristwatch gifted by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, recently, Dubai-based businessman Omar Farooq Zahoor claimed to have bought the state gifts from Imran Khan's wife, Bushra Bibi's close aide, Farha Gogi. Zahoor claimed he bought the rare watch and 3 other Toshkhana gifts for cash. The PTI chairman Imran Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi had reportedly retained all the 112 state gifts by paying lesser than its known value. PTI has denied that this man had any links to the sale of the watch. And talking about the Pakistan Army Chief, Pakistan's Finance Minister Ishaq Dar has launched a probe into allegedly illegal and unwarranted leaks of the tax records of Army Chief Bajwa's family, calling the data breach a clear violation of tax laws. The orders for the probe came after a report by a Pakistan-based news website, Fact Focus, suggested that Bajwa's family had amassed billions during his tenure. The report suggests the current market value of Bajwa's known assets stand at over $56 million. Fact Focus's report states the assets of General Bajwa's wife, Aisha Amzad, went from zero in 2016 to 9.8 million in 2021, while Bajwa's daughter-in-law, Mehnur Sabir's assets worth millions jumped from zero in October 2018 to $5.6 million in November 2018. In the same year, Mehnur's father too began transferring capital outside of Pakistan and purchased properties abroad. For more on this story, we're now joined by Ahmed Shaheen, a Pakistani journalist. Ahmed Shaheen, whether it is the politicians, many of them former prime ministers of Pakistan, or the army chief and his family, it seems to be the same story, a collective loot. What more do we know at the moment about these very serious allegations that have been leveled against General Bajwa and his family? Because reports suggest that they have all become billionaires during his tenure as Pakistan Army Chief.
Yes, Pakistani system is based on the true rulers, the kings and the queens and the princes and the princesses, and then the henchmen of these kings and the true rulers being the politicians in Pakistan. Now, the newest, in the fiefdom of kings and queens and princesses, there's this Princess Mahnur, for example, who became one of the youngest billionaires of Pakistan. And 9 days before her marriage to the son of the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan, just 9 days ago, before the marriage, 8 properties were handed over to her in military land. So these people, from declaring that they owned nothing at all, absolutely nothing, or something very low, something average, become billionaires. This is Bajwa of today. There was another General Bajwa of yesterday. It's kind of a deja vu. 2 years ago, I was sitting on WION trying to explain how the other Bajwa, General Bajwa, became a billionaire. Today, we're talking about this next Bajwa become a billionaire. The generals never get tried for any of this corruption. The only response that we get from the government, the last government of Imran Khan condemned the journalists. This government of Pakistan is condemning the journalists that why was this data made available to the public. This is their wealth statement. This is their declarations. This is publicly available data. It should have been investigated. There were times that the Federal Board of Revenue tried to investigate, for example, the Queen, Queen Aisha, the wife of Chief of Army Staff, and there were discrepancies and omissions from her record. But these investigations are only there because of a mistake. They are snubbed, and people who try to investigate it are taught a lesson.
Well, these are modern-day monarchs, aren't they? And shooting the messenger, that seems to be a familiar pattern in many parts of the world. Imran Shaheen, while corruption allegations being levelled against politicians, their families, especially in the subcontinent, is nothing new. But it would be correct to say that the army is a highly revered institution in Pakistan. And yet, as you said, there is zero accountability. So many army generals have been accused of corruption, including General Bajwa and his family now. The question is, are these allegations likely to dent the image of the institution in any way? Is it going to erode their credibility and the faith people have, or is it going to be business as usual because people are just so used to this kind of institutionalized corruption?
Let's talk about the image. Let's talk about the image of the leader of Pakistan People's Party, former President Zardari. He has been repeatedly and continuously for decades now being called Mr. 10%, although there is no evidence whether he takes 10% commission or corruption money. It's just his identity. When you talk about Nawaz Sharif, he's been given the label of Chor Daku, and there's absolutely no evidence that has been come to light the way it comes in terms of, generally accepted documents of evidence like their own declarations, for example. He's been convicted of not taking money from his son. And then you have other politicians who've been punished on extremely frivolous cases. But when it comes to the generals have never been punished, not for usurping the constitution, not for doing corruption. And when it comes to politicians, it's not just, we can't really say that the politicians bear the brunt of it. There is a certain breed of politicians. When you talk about their corruption, for example, when we investigated and showed the actual video of these politicians buying other politicians for hefty amounts of sum, what happened? There was an assassination attempt on me. Our media house got shut down. So these are the kind of no-go areas. Ahmed Noorani, the journalist behind this current report, what happened to him? He was attacked after he had to flee. His wife was attacked, who had to remain back in Pakistan. So this is the current state of situation where the government right now is saying that why did Noorani publish these records? They're not saying they're not true. They're saying, why did you bring them to life? So there are a certain group of politicians who eventually make or break the government. The same politicians who made Imran Khan's government and the same ones who broke it and then formed this new every government is pro-military government. These politicians are corrupt as well. You cannot run stories on them. What you can run story on without evidence, any requirement of evidence, is that how the people who've already are recognized by the people of Pakistan, different segments as their leaders, how they are corrupt. The generals, on the other hand, when they say we are not corrupt, we're supposed to take it as a word of gospel.
Well, clearly being a journalist, especially an investigative journalist, is not easy these days. We saw what happened to Arshad Sharif. Many believe he was murdered in Kenya. That, of course, is an ongoing investigation. But Imran Shaheen, lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on WION.